I think it is ridiculous that you can click a button and see what the people you follow are liking on social media.
I think the personal brands on the internet that are also the face of their products and services have the highest risk of fucking up.
Don't create shit for views. You better be able to stand behind it because it's true and something you actually wanted to create.
You got to be clear on like what's your purpose with social.
But again, it's like social media shit gets taken out of context. So you just gotta laugh.
Just be prepared for all of the smoke. I'm sure it will work.
So we were having this conversation, and he was saying in the workplace, soon as somebody new would come onto the team, he would just block them on social media. He was like, what's the name of the new hire? Okay, cool. And he'd go on social media and he would block them because he was like, my boundaries are so strict. I don't need to see your shit. You don't need to see my shit. I come to work. I do what I need to on my
That's so
shift.
fascinating.
And-
like most people who are in the workplace aren't like, what are you doing? Here's my thing. I get it, but like, what are you doing on Instagram? That is, you can just make it private.
I get that. Well, in the content of what I think he was doing was trying to eventually build content, right?
Okay.
To like launch media, marketing, whatever. Wanted no ammunition from anyone. The question is, what is your take on following your coworkers on social media and blurring the lines between your workplace and social media?
What is my take? Ooh, we're not talking about in this moment because that my take is not the same now as it was, let's say, 2018. I did not have the same take.
We're just gonna have a very holistic conversation.
Very holistic. Got it. Let's see, when I was in corporate, I think my line was I could friend you on Facebook, but that was more at the time the platform I didn't like the personal profile stuff that was on Facebook before you could have like Facebook pages. I think you could have Facebook pages then too, but I had no issue if we wanted to be friends on Facebook. When it came to platforms I was creating content on, I just would never share it. If they found it, cool. I also still to this day don't follow people back. I absolutely suck at it. And it's two parts. One, I just don't care to. Like, you can't be that important for me to follow you back. Like, if it's a real reason, I'll follow back. And then two, I'm not on the platforms enough to sit there. Like, I think I've had clients, like coaching clients for fitness, that it took me almost a year to follow them back. And I talk to them on a day-to-day basis. They've been in my house. Like you and I probably took 2 years from the time I first interacted with you to the time I followed you or interacted further with you. It was like 2 years. Because you and I were probably connected in 2020, and I don't think it really came full circle until into 2021. So I always looked at the coworker thing and said, cool when it comes to Facebook. Everything else, if it's like a creative platform for me or somewhere where I'm like just going off, I don't really want to. And I don't care to. And to this day, I still don't. Like, even I have friends that I don't follow, and I don't really care. That sounds sad, I guess, but I don't care. I don't think you shouldn't. I think also you got to be clear on like what's your purpose with social. I think that can be a little bit hairy for people. If you are going to aim to use social media to make content, to build the thing that gets you out the door, I totally understand if you're a little careful about what you do. Now, the counter side to that is if your company knows you're on social media making content, to do that, they may have some issues, and that may lead to some issues in the workplace as well. But in terms of following, I've never seen like a real issue outside of like what your employer could think. That's about it. Like, whether or not you choose to be open to being friendly with people, I'm still friends with people from my first job post-college on social media, and LinkedIn is technically a social platform. So like, I am now. I'm not sharing everything under the sun on that platform, but what about you? What's your outlook on being friends with people on social media that you're coworkers, or just like overall? Like,
Yeah, I got a couple takes. First, I think we live in a world that when you meet someone, the first thing people say is, "What's your Instagram?" So
yeah,
we default to what is your social media. So if you are not a content creator on the platform and you are just a consumer and you use it passively, probably be mindful of what you're posting on there, because whether or not it paints a full picture of who you are, people will look at your social media and see what you're
And make
posting, and they will make
assumptions, yeah.
assumptions and judgments. So if all of your pictures are you shotgunning beers with your buddies on the back of a golf cart, you kind of look a little fucking wild at first glance.
Yeah.
There could be more to you than that, but if that's the only thing you post, like that's what you're communicating to the world. So I think it's being mindful of what lives on your social media. I don't love the Instagram update. I think it is ridiculous that you can click a button and see what the people you follow are liking on social media. I find that very strange. I think it is invasive. Why would you put that on the platform? I deliberately don't click on it because I don't want to judge what other people are engaging with. So if I look at that through the lens of you're following your coworkers on social media, or you're following your boss or different things like that, and you're paying attention to what they engage with on social media, I think that opens up a completely other discussion. My politics don't have to enter the workplace, but if you follow me on social media and you see what I am engaging with on social media, you're going to make judgments on
So
that.
when it comes to you, what you just said, I fundamentally don't agree, because here's the thing. If I find you on Twitter, you only follow like 12 people, and 8 of them very clearly show your political affiliation. So I don't know that would even matter. I wouldn't even have to see who you like.
Maybe I'm taking in different information.
Oh, stop. Don't try to lie. I remember
Now everyone's going to go search me up on Twitter and be
you would love it. You would love it. The first time I found out you had a Twitter, I looked at it and I go, this motherfucker follows 12 people. I'm one of those 12. 8 of those 12, it's very clear what your political affiliation is. And then the other 3, it's kind of like a free-for-all. You'd have no idea unless they know you. So it's like, if you can see who you follow, at that point, it's kind of like...
But see, I don't even like that. So if I wasn't a content creator and a business owner that used social media for marketing, my account would be private. You wouldn't be able to see anything, and I probably wouldn't follow anybody. I don't even like following people right now. I don't like that my account is rapidly growing and I only follow under 100 people. And because that number is so small, people could scroll through and see who I'm following. And I think that is ridiculous. And an invasion of my privacy, even though I have a public account on social media.
So, okay.
And it makes me want to unfollow everybody, just for the record. I'm going to let you all know.
Wow, really mad. I understand. I also have learned you can curate your For You page to be what you're looking for. And so that's what I've done. Is if I don't want to follow you, I'll curate ways to just get you in my For You page to find things that I'm looking for. So I don't have to follow you. And then you have no idea what I like. Like if you had an inkling of what goes on in my For You page, you'd be confused.
This guy
100%.
watches bird flotation.
Yeah, oh
devices.
my God. Yeah.
No.
If you I gotta link that in the episode. If you've never hold on. Nah,
I wonder if the team could just like edit this little clip into
No,
the episode.
It's called Flotation Device Daily. This thing has 80,000 fucking. One of the accounts has 80,000 followers. This is incredible. Hold on. Nah, this is totally worth.
But you can use this flotation device. What they say, they floating. They can be hating. Put both feet. If you put both feet, we'll give you a big bag of seeds. See, damn it, man. See, premium from Costco. I have to contemplate. I have to consider. I'm aquaphobic, man. Costco. Why do I have to be aquaphobic?
So this is a
Flotation
beautiful
device.
moment of why you shouldn't follow your coworkers.
What do you mean?
social
It's
media.
great. I just send it to you. Also, like, what would you do otherwise? I send you such great things.
Oh yeah, it's a highlight of my day. I think that people make judgments on social media, and I don't know. I think depending on where you work and how you use social media, you should be mindful of engaging with your coworkers on social media.
I can tell
That's
you
my
this.
take.
When I was in corporate, I was quite careful. Once I walked out that door, I can go fuck about what I posted.
A lot of people who might be listening to this are in corporate,
Yeah.
so be mindful of what you're.
Make a what is it called? A Finsta?
I have
make
no
a
idea what that
make
is.
like a burner account.
Jesus.
That's what you need to do. You need to do like a fake pit name and like start making content that way. Be like, yo, I'm Jim from Palo Alto.
Fake
Dude,
username.
literally. Yeah.
Macaroni 57. No profile picture.
SpongeBob's got a mustache, 39.
Yeah. I think being mindful of it. Something that was weird for me when I still had a job is that I was creating content on social media. And I was going on there and I was talking about confidence, various things like that, trying to grow my first business.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who are on the leadership team that I engaged with followed me on social media.
Yeah.
And I would see them, their little profiles in my Instagram story. And I was like, this feels weird. Because when I go in to the office, you've watched my story for the day. Because I was like trying to hustle to build my business on the side. And here I am sitting in the car at 6 o'clock in the morning talking on my Instagram stories, trying to tee up sales calls for after work, going into work. And I know that they watched my stories every single day because I saw, and some of them I think still to this day watch my stories from years ago, and they followed along the journey. And I think that also adds layers of complication depending on what you're trying to do with social media. Because if you have somebody on your team who is historically a little bitchy and passive aggressive, and you see them watching you on social media every day, you can't help but to be like,
So
why are you here?
I'll also say this. I think, because I'll go back and look at when I first started, like, actually trying to use social media to make content, to try to build a business. This was me. I'm saying try because it was quite the shitty effort, if I'm being honest with you. In those days in 2018, it was still, relatively speaking, so new to be like a creator and make money. Like, unless you were one of the influencers or like one of the name people, like posting on social media didn't tend to make you much money in those days. Like, you were an internet marketer who ran ads, or you did something else. The whole like make a piece of organic content, grow an audience, build an email list, all this stuff. Not that it didn't exist, it just wasn't as common. So I even remember when I was in corporate and I was doing it, it was like, oh, like not many people figure that out. Like, there's just not that many people. I think nowadays in 2025, people like look and they're like, oh, that can be a real thing for you. It's still, I wouldn't say it's accepted, but there's probably more of a acceptance or understanding that that's a real thing in 2025. In 2018, that wasn't a thing. And when I got on Instagram in 2012, dude, having 10,000 followers in those days was like the equivalent of having 10 million nowadays. Like, I remember that was like a badge. I remember thinking I had 400 followers on Instagram when I was in college, and I thought I was the fucking shit. That's like paltry. You get more fucking follows on a single video than I had at the time, and I used to think, but it's like the scale of awareness is very different now.
Yeah.
And I think for the average person in the workspace, social's just used so differently, and also it's easier to tell now more than ever. What are you actually on social for? Are you just there socializing, interacting, sharing memes with friends, like occasionally posting Taco Tuesday or fucking Saturdays are for the boys, like, or are you trying to make content, or are you trying to market or whatever? So I think we don't live in the world anymore where it's not as obvious. I think to the average person, it's pretty obvious when you are using social to do something more than just, hey, it's Tuesday.
Yeah. I think taking this conversation another layer with social media, if you're a business owner and you use social media to promote your product or service or build a personal brand, I think it is very important for you to pay attention to what you are putting on social media, because your team will naturally want to follow you and they will pay attention to what you're putting on social media.
I think the personal brands on the internet that are also the face of their products and services have the highest risk of fucking up. And I can say this without saying names. There are some people out there that what you see on social, it's grossly different than what happens in their business and workplace. And as someone who is involved in that, much like you are, that is gotta be a very tough pill to swallow. Like, I don't think it's worth selling your soul to show one way in public and conduct your business completely different behind closed doors. It's very easy to get ripped in the public limelight.
I think a lot of people don't even realize they're doing it.
Yeah, I think there's also people who do and they don't care. I actually think with some of the bigger name people, I think some of them just don't care. I think they've gone past the point of return.
Yeah. All of our team follows me on social media. I see them in my Instagram stories.
Some of them just started following me. I don't even know how I feel about it. Considering one of them called me a pharaoh, I really don't know how I feel about you following me.
They engage, they comment, they send stuff. They bring it up on team meetings. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, I love that video. That's exactly what people need to hear. And I'm like, but again, it's like you're creating content and the responsibility
Very high.
is very high because everybody who works for you is paying attention to you,
Very
like
much
you
so.
said, with a personal brand on social media, because it's not just a company page that is faceless and here's our product and service or like hilarious marketing material, right? To bring awareness. It's like when it's coming from your personal page and everybody works for you, it's like strong checks and balances.
I think what it does too, and I'd love your opinion on this. I think when you're aware that you are public facing to build a business, it is even more a big deal that you are just as involved, if not more involved, with your teams and what goes on in the day to day. Because a lot of people can see you on social and be like, you don't do any of this behind closed doors. You don't. And the number of people that I'm aware of that it's like, oh, you're just the face. Like you're not involved in the day to day. You're not involved in how the team moves. You're just a figurehead. The number of people that have that experience with someone they work for, especially when you make content, you like really don't have much of a choice but to, if you're going to make content, it's a good idea for you to still be involved in the day to day to some degree. Because you will lose trust in the team you work for.
Why is turnover so high? Well, I don't know, because what you post on Instagram isn't what you do on team meetings.
No.
Like, incongruent. I think at some point you have to decide if you're going to build a personal brand, if you are, and just any brand in general, but I'm going to speak through personal brand lens. Are you willing to take on the responsibility required of like what is going to come at all levels?
What does that responsibility look like in your eyes relative to the person who does not make that decision?
Well, I think first off, it very much depends on what type of content you're creating. So what are you building your personal brand around and what are the topics? I will use myself as an example. At this point, my page continues to grow and be shared. And I'll get messages saying like, I sent this to our leadership team. I sent this to my team. We use your videos in our team meetings and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, cool. I love that. And that's amazing. That's a higher degree of responsibility because you are taking someone's content, mine specifically, that you're seeing on the internet, and you're telling your team, hey, we agree with this. We would like to talk about it and how this could shape our company culture. So I think of that through the lens of, okay, well, I'm going to talk on this subject. I better do my fucking diligence to clarify what it is I'm trying to say because you're sending your team to follow my page. Which I'm like, okay, God be asking me to grow significantly. And then we're driving people to the newsletter. And then the newsletter is being shared. And that's being shared amongst teams. So I think it's just, for me personally, based on the topics that I'm speaking on, social media, and where I know those videos are being shared and the rooms that they're entering, that I have no idea that my content is being played on a screen somewhere in an office. That's like a check and balance system for me with what it is I'm talking about. Being very mindful of how I present an idea. If I create a video and I watch it back and I don't like it, I just delete it. Like, if I film 20 videos and a lot of them, I'm like, oof, that wasn't delivered the way I intended, or it could be taken like very far out of context, I'll just delete it. I won't even post it because I understand like more and more eyeballs are coming to my page. and the specific type of eyeballs that are coming to my page. As a leader and somebody who has a team, if I'm going to send them somebody's stuff, I'm probably not going to send them somebody's stuff that I think is full of shit or I think is going to communicate a message to them in a way that perhaps I disagree with or I don't want to see show up in our team dynamic. So for me personally, that's like a high degree of responsibility. I think if you're just creating content around health and fitness, you're not going to be shared to that extent, right? So I think it's very dependent on what it is you're creating content on. But even then, even if you're creating it on like health and fitness or whatever it is, you're still going onto social media and you're talking about things that you believe in. So like, are you living them or are you getting better? And it doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but if you're talking about this and you're way the fuck out in left field, at some point that eats at you. And then I think it puts a governor on what you're capable of creating because you'll never exceed it.
No. I also think it makes it, especially what you said, if there are specific topics that you talk about, it makes it very apparent not only to you but to the people closest to you when you actually aren't following through. And I think that's a tough pill for people to swallow. When they're talking about topics. I see it all the time where people decide I'm now the relationship expert or the health expert or the communication expert, and I'm like, you're saying stuff and it sounds good in theory and you're being passionate about it, and then doesn't map.
I also think it's how you frame it as well. I think this is going to like open up a bunch of thoughts I have around it. Number one, the bigger your audience gets, I think your responsibility becomes much larger. Because let's say we flash forward in 5 years. In 5 years' time, I would like to have a personal brand that has like a 5 million person audience. Okay, cool. If I imagine me with a 5 million plus person audience, that's a lot of influence, whether I want to agree with it or not, right? Like the conversation of like, well, it doesn't matter. I said what I said at that point is a bit ignorant because you have that much influence and you have a bunch of people that look to you and agree with you. I think what Joe Rogan did on his podcast that swayed that many votes is such a indication of the level of responsibility you have and how you respond to things and what you talk about and the way that you talk about them and how do you deal with things when it comes up. I think of, could you imagine if you had a 5 million person audience that loved you and was ride or die and cult-like for what you did, and somebody maybe slandered you on social media for something that didn't happen? Well, you could very much go on social media and make a video saying this person did me wrong, and you would have a mob of people go after somebody because they're so bought in to who you are. I don't think that's the best way to probably approach it. I think that's something to be mindful of when you're creating. So I think that's one. The bigger your audience gets, the more responsibility you have. I think the other thing too, it's like, man, you are best to just be you out the gate and make it super clear who you are, what you stand for. I'm not perfect. I'm not a guru and I'm not an expert. Probably going to say something at some point in time that disappoints you and frustrates you and you won't like. And it's not my intention to be hurtful. And then all of your content needs to map towards that because I am sure inevitably I will create a piece of content that pisses somebody off.
100%.
Like, especially as you get bigger and bigger and bigger and you have more attention. So it's imperative that how you're building your platform is honest and authentic and you're not full of shit. Because what happens when you get that big and then you say something that's out of context?
I don't think it's just out of context. It's very easy to consume out of context. I think, can you be okay with the fact that people are going to consume out of context? And that will just get bigger perpetually. Like you're talking about, okay, in 5 years you have 5 million. I think about this frame quite a bit. And as I think through that frame, I'm like, if there are already things I say that come off strong, that's strong at 14,000 people. What is it going to sound like at 5 million? What is it going to be like at 5 million? If at 14,000 it's 10 comments, it's probably about, I wouldn't say 100x the comments, but it could be.
Yeah.
Can you stomach and stay true to who you are, even as the magnitude of scale increases. Because it doesn't mean that your truth is no longer not the truth. It may mean that there are more people that are interested in trying to fight with you, or feel the need to communicate or express that they don't agree with you in a small microcosm. Mm-hmm. I also find it interesting. We live in a world where people, especially as your audience gets bigger, or if you have any sort of position or place on social media, people will go back and be like, "Ha, you were wrong on something you said 5 years ago." And I find that to be so fascinating. Or if you change your perspective on something, oh, you said this 5 years later, you said this, and it's like,
I would hope to fuck that 5 years later I
yeah, and
haven't evolved.
And also I find the people who are in those situations, a lot of them just defend it. Oh, well, like that's what it is. And it's like, or you can just own it and be like, yeah, my life is error correction. It's okay to make new decisions. I think there's a lot of considerations to make when you think about, again, like we started the conversation at being friends on social media, but what happens when you start to develop an audience? Mm-hmm. It's incredible.
Here's something I've seen. I kind of have like 2 points. One, I've seen creators. Okay, I got 3 points.
Run it.
First off, don't create shit for views.
No.
Like, have a check and balance system. Do you genuinely believe in what it is you're about to say and what you're about to create? Because heaven forbid it is taken out of context. You better be able to stand behind it because it's true and something you actually wanted to create.
100%.
Because when you're convicted in that, whatever, man, disagree. You didn't like the way I said it. No big deal. But at least it's honest to you. And I think you can weather that storm better. I think a lot of people create content because it's like, oh, this is a trending topic. I should add my 2 cents on it. This will get me more views, visibility. And I think that's when everything goes to hell in a handbasket because you stepped outside of what you actually agree with to try to get more attention. And then life bitch slaps you. And it's just like, that's not the attention that you want.
Mm-hmm.
So doesn't look too good. I think that's number 1. I think number 2, I have seen creators make something that is authentic to them, that they do stand behind, get a bunch of heat and push back on it, and then they make an apology video. Fuck that. Dead ass. I will not make an apology video. I have thought this through, and I'm like, okay, now at 5 million, I'll make a video and a bunch of people are upset. I will not fucking apologize. I will not make a video and be like, oh, I'm so sorry that this was taken out of context. Because here's what happens. 1, you said what you said. There's no going back. Nobody accepts your apology anyway. So you're basically just arguing with people on the internet and completely just like sabotaging yourself. So if I come back to like, I actually agree with this and I stand on this and you don't like it and thousands of people disagree with me, I'm not making a video apologizing for that. I'm gonna carry on like tomorrow was no fucking different than the day before. And if you want to light up my comments and be bitchy and whiny, cool. Mm-hmm. I just see people make apology videos and I'm like, get up off the floor. What are you doing? Because then you read people, this was an insincere apology. Shut the fuck up, Betty. Like,
yeah, you've been thinking about this, huh?
I've thought about this a long time ago. Every time I see somebody make an apology video on social media, I'm like, get up off the floor. Did you mean to say this? Yeah? Okay, cool. Then why are you apologizing for it? Because a bunch of people. And as somebody who helps clients with content and media and putting themselves out there, they're like, well, what if I get heat? Well, then whatever, you get heat. Do you agree with it? Yeah? Is it your truth? Yeah? Sweet. Which then leads me to my third point. I think there are some topics that you should just stay the fuck away from.
Oh, let's get into this. Give me your topics. What topics should we not talk about on social media?
Well, the most viral thing in the personal brand world as of today is a creator who took his kids on stage and got them to pull up their shirt and show the crowd that they had six-pack abs.
We're gonna talk about this because
well, we kind of went from like, should you follow your coworkers on social media to being a creator on social media. I feel the people who listen to our show are either business owners, leaders of some capacity. But like, I think this conversation plays into this. Like, this to me is like, there's certain things that you don't do. And when you step into that
That
realm,
made my skin crawl. And I fucking have no respect for him whatsoever. That is not the definition of being a man, let alone masculinity.
Cool. So for context for everyone listening to this who has no idea what we're talking about, there was somebody who held a seminar. I think it was like a conference.
Yeah, something.
Get together, a bunch of people. Calls his two kids up on stage. One is 9, one is 12. Is taught, and a big thing in his company is promoting, like, you got to be in shape, you got to be fit, whatever it is. He's got a lot of heat on that for social media based on like how he has presented that idea to begin with, whatever. Gets his kids up on stage and basically tells a short story about how we were going to go on a trip if you get abs or like you get in shape, whatever it is, trying to instill behaviors to be healthy, whatever. The kids are up on stage, they pull up their shirt, and they show the crowd.
Okay, so it's not just kids,
Their
it's
abs.
daughters. That's one. And then 2, what
I'm just
the
giving
fuck
quick-
are you doing? What the fuck is wrong with you? As a man, I'm not even a father yet. And at this point in my life watching that, I was not comfortable seeing that. If I ever do that, someone bullet right to the fucking
I
head.
got you. Say less.
Please. That is not the representation of being a parent or a father whatsoever. And this is the thing. I think at times in the internet world we live in, people for some reason, especially those who they use social media to build their thing. They were never actually building a product or anything like that required you to be good at building the product. Like your product is social media in a sense. For some reason, there are these grandiose gestures and these ideas that they share publicly that they don't realize fundamentally they are the problem. But they think that because they have money or because they have a voice, therefore airing out their shitty ideas is a good idea. And they'll tell you that all attention is good attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that and I was like, you're fucking disgusting. Be better. As a man, I pray for your kids.
But that is an example of what I'm talking about, where it's like being mindful of what you do. I don't agree with it either. I'm saying there are certain things and there is some stuff that when you do it and you expose it and you post it on social media, people come out with their pitchforks. And I think kids is one of them. So if your personal brand has nothing to do with that, you'd probably be wise to not talk about that shit on social media.
I think if you're going to talk, and I don't disagree with you, I think if you're going to talk about sensitive topics, you best be wise to be intelligent and be able to present a wholesome, healthy, strong-manned argument and not this like, oh, they should have abs.
Well, I think the next piece of this is there's some topics that you probably shouldn't talk about at all in short form content.
I mean, it was a clip that was turned into short form, but
Well, sure.
I think you're. I don't know. I have a different take on this. I don't think that you shouldn't talk about what you want to talk about. I think if you're going to talk about something that you are aware is polarizing, you need to be able to strongman your own argument. You need to be able to understand, respect, appreciate, and look at the other side and see what the argument is, and not assume that your train of thought or your belief system is 100% accurate. The problem with the clip of what you're talking about is if you go look back, it was presented as if he was right for the way he was operating his life, and that's the way everyone else should be. That's what I didn't like. I think it set a really poor precedent for how you should parent.
I think, sure, you can come at the angle and say it was because of, like, that he presented it as right. I also think that anything to do with minors, regardless if you didn't present that as you were right, people are still like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
So regardless if you're like, hey, like, you do you and I'll do me, and you're like open to feedback on that take, there's still you're putting minors on stage and telling them to pull up their
Yeah,
shirt. Like,
100%.
no one gives a fuck.
100%.
Even if you said, hey, I'm potentially wrong here. Yeah. Like, there's just some things that you don't do. Like, think it through. This is also the stuff, though, like, if we bring it back to team and you think of, like, PR moments like that, where you have crisis moments, that shit divides a team, whether anybody speaks openly about it or not. Mm-hmm. You see your boss, leader, whoever it is, do something on social media and get a bunch of smoke for it. Mm-hmm. And then nobody addresses it. And you just carry on. And that fractures a team. And you have the camp of people who are like, oh no, I still agree with this, and like, whatever, you do you. But then when you have the camp of people who are confused and they don't know what to agree with because, well, I get paid here and I respect you, but like, holy shit, thousands of people are literally attacking you and no conversation has had to address it. Like, quietly quitting and or notices start pouring in. Then you have the camp that is like, no, I completely disagree with this and I don't give a shit what you say. I'm quitting. Like I could just see the bomb going off for stuff like that. Like if I had a video that went viral and was like a poor take and had thousands of people in the comment section and it was of relevance, I'd probably be like, hey, who here saw that video? Yeah, all of you? Cool. And we would have a conversation about it. Floor's open. What you got? What questions do you have for me? Do you actually agree with that? Cool. Here's my actual stance. I would totally open up a conversation and be like, the floor is yours. We're also not getting off this call until someone pulls the first string. So I'll sit here and wait politely.
Pulls the string. First string. If anybody would like to start the onslaught.
Yeah. I think that's the shit that matters, though.
100%.
Because without that conversation, that's avoidance.
100%.
People don't respect it.
I also think it's easier to respect the people when things happen with content or something is said when that door is open. I look at the people who I find personally are eviscerated the most for the things they say, whether you like him or not. I think of Elon Musk. I think of Trump. I think of a handful of people on social media. They make themselves very accessible. They don't sit behind an ivory tower. They are out in the public. They take questions. They may not always answer in a way you like, but they're not afraid to go into the public space. And I think of people like that, and I'm like, whether or not I agree with you is not here nor there. There's a respect for the fact that you are in their arena. And by being in the arena and not shying away from it, sure, you can make mistakes, but you're also willing to have a conversation about why you did what you did. And whether or not I agree with you, the fact that you're willing to repeatedly do what you do and be in that space. And granted, I don't think they're always perfect. I don't think anybody is, yet they're consistent. I've yet to see with some of the people that I think get the shit end of this stick in the public limelight, I've yet to see something that would tell me that, like, no, he's been telling you who he is for a long time. Like, say what you want about Trump. Some of the things that a lot of the things that you see with his presidency, he's been talking about for 40 years before he ever considered being president. Same with Elon. A lot of the things he says have been true for 20 plus years. So they've been telling you who they are this whole time. And I think there's something to be said for take people as they've been telling you they are for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent, take it for what it is.
Social media.
It's the greatest place on earth.
I personally love it. I think,
have a great time.
Don't doom scroll till your eyes rot out of your fucking head, but overall.
Don't be friends with all of your coworkers.
Yeah, and just be mindful. And then I think if you're a creator or a business owner and you are going the personal brand path, fuck, get right with you before you start
Mm-hmm.
charging out there and being like, this is what,
I'm in.
what my stance is.
Yeah. I look at the different things I created and I got like a little chuckle when you're like, you should be clear on who you want to be. I'm like, oh yeah. When you're like prepared for the onslaught, it's hilarious. It turns into humor. I made a video when I was doing a lot more fitness coaching and it was just the comments. I think I ended up just laughing at 200 straight comments. And one of my friends was like, they're so mean to you. I was like, yeah, but I kind of just knew this was coming. It's easier to be funny about it. If you've never experienced it or you have no clue what you're doing this for, holy hell, it's probably... I've seen people get comments and go into like complete mental asylum. Like they can't get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
They don't want to make content anymore. They don't want to open up Instagram. Life sucks all of a sudden. But it's like, that's just the nature of the platforms. There's going to be a lot of hatred.
I can tell with a video before I post it what other side of the argument will be. And that doesn't mean that I don't post the video. Like I have a video that is more recent from the last couple weeks. And I was just like, if you don't want your manager to ride your ass, do your fucking job. Yeah. I still agree with that. Clip this out of the fucking podcast and we'll repost it again.
Again, literally.
Like, that's still my take. And it was like something along the lines of, if you don't want your manager to ride your ass, do your fucking job.
You just reminded me of something. I posted something on TikTok. I was like we had made a video you'd helped me with. And what did I say? No, it wasn't micromanagement. Someone's comment really sent me for a good laugh though. Being overly sensitive. And then the comment I got was, oh, brother, how about people act respectfully toward their coworkers instead of being assholes? Maybe people would be more open to sharing their thoughts. And I was like, yeah, it's all context dependent. There's a fucking video on Instagram or Twitter or TikTok. It's going to be short. I'm going to cover one aspect of the thing. Don't think I didn't think through the other side. And it doesn't mean I'm still not going to post the perspective.
Yeah, agreed. Wholeheartedly. I get a lot of comments, especially on those takes when I'm like a little more visceral or it feels abrasive, my take on something. And people are like, I couldn't imagine working for her. I would hate working for her and all of this stuff. And it's actually funny, on one of my group team calls I had with our team, they were talking about content and they were just like, they love the videos that I post and it helps them and they feel more confident and all these different things. And I'm like, amazing. And then I was telling them, I was like, oh yeah, I get slayed in the comment section with people being like, you know, it would suck to work for her there. And they're all like, no, we love working for you. And I was like, that is all I need. Because all these people on social media are like, I'd never want to work with her. I bet she's a bitch to work for, that she hates her team and that she's so mean to them and all this stuff. And I'm like, and then our team sometimes has sent me my own videos and laughed, or they've found them on other people's pages and they're like, look, they're stealing your shit and they're not even giving you credit. And I'm like, good stuff. Just let them know in the comments. It's one of my bosses.
I work with her. She's not that bad. She's just honest.
But then again, it's just like perspective, right? My other favorite, this is good stuff. You're an ableist. I love that one.
A what?
An ableist. You only care about people who have ableism. You don't like those who have disabilities. That's my favorite. You don't care about people who are autistic or who are neurodivergent. And I always get a kick out of that because I'm like, or you don't understand us.
They've definitely never watched the podcast because that's incredible.
Yeah, they're just like, you should learn about autism and people who
I have a business partner who has the tism.
I have a brother.
And there you go. You've got it at all levels.
Who has the tism. Yeah, and is nonverbal. So, but again, it's like social media shit gets taken out of context. So you just gotta laugh.
You definitely gotta laugh because if you take it too seriously, you kill yourself.
I also think it holds people back though. Mm-hmm. Like you want to be liked and accepted and you don't want to ruffle any feathers and you're scared that Heaven forbid someone pushes back on you. And because of that, you will never create anything.
No. Why would I? What do you mean?
Never put yourself out there enough.
You have to accept that you are all things at all times and just make the decision to create.
Yeah. So, moral of the story here. This got a little sidetracked, but I also think that's
great.
just how the podcasts roll.
I love it.
My personal take is I would be mindful of engaging with coworkers on social media. I'd be mindful of what you post. I would have a private account.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have to accept followers to be allowed to engage with my page
100%.
if I wasn't trying to create content and build the brand. I think all pages should be private unless you're trying to create something where you need a public account, because
There's no point. Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
Because the very first thing someone's going to do is look you up on Instagram.
100%.
If I meet a dude at the coffee shop tomorrow and he doesn't give me his Instagram, the first thing I'm doing is punching his first and last name in on Instagram, and I'm going to find his account. And then I'm going to see when his last girlfriend was on his... I'm going to just keep it 100. If I'm going to hire a manager for a company, I'm going to your Instagram to see what you post and how you respond to people in the comments of your posts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lie, I'm going to shoot it to you straight. So, as somebody who helps provide jobs for other people, if I'm willing to do that,
You should consider the fact that your employer is probably willing to do that too. Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
I agree.
so that's my take. Be mindful. And then if you're going to be a creator and you're going to create a personal brand and do whatever, know what you're going to create about. Stay away from certain subjects. Unless you want all the people with pitchforks to come out and just take your life. Because they
100%.
will if you talk about certain things in a way that is a little tone deaf.
Just be prepared for all of the smoke.
Yeah. I posted a video one time and I got 14,000 comments on it, and that video changed my life. Really desensitized me from people's feedback. We're not hardwired to have 14,000 people weigh in their opinions about you in like a 48-hour window.
She was like the entire neighborhood I live in. That's basically everybody came out knocking on my door and said, "Get it together."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
And I would
Build your character.
still say the same thing.
Of course.
I think most people's work ethic is dog shit.
I'd agree.
And that is where we bid you adieu.
Like, subscribe,
Join the huddle.
join the huddle.